Let me tell you a secret: when looping from the middle, where is the most comfortable place to aim? I'll show you. What's the easiest target? Are you amateur players also struggling with your serve receive? Let me share the professional's perspective. We also misread serves, but we adjust very quickly.
我
So,
们就
let's
讲
talk about
讲，
what to do when
如
you
果
still
你
make an error even
判
after
断
reading
出
the
来你
spin.
还吃怎么办？
对，
First, let's cover how to handle a sidespin-backspin serve. When receiving, try to avoid contacting the ball from directly behind it. A major reason for errors when receiving long serves is rushing the contact point. If you let the ball come into your body, slightly to your left side, I guarantee it will be much easier to return. Slightly rotate your body to create space, then use your forearm to extend the arc of your shot. Many players make errors because they instinctively get scared of heavy spin, just like when they're about to loop. When the ball comes, this is a very common way to make a mistake. Your error comes from using a short push technique, which is meant for balls inside the table. The correct method for long balls is to use your forearm to guide the ball and create a longer arc. If I receive it this way, the ball will not only clear the net but will also be low, flat, and floaty. This kind of return has a lot of float. Receiving long serves to the backhand is a weak point for amateurs, which is why it's a critical skill, as over 70% of serves target this area. During your backswing, bring the racket slightly to your left, and push forward with your forearm rather than just jabbing at the ball. See how much easier that is to push? If you use a short, jabbing push, you'll likely hit the net. Using a short push for a ball inside the table is perfectly fine. But on a long serve, a short push won't generate enough forward trajectory because your stroke stops at contact. The ball loses the length of its arc. Many players still try to push heavy spin to their backhand baseline. If you must push, make sure to extend your forearm forward to prevent hitting the net. For a long serve to your forehand, you can't push, you must loop it. For short balls, use a short push, which relies on a compact, sharp motion. For long balls, use a long push, where you guide the ball forward with your forearm. The second receive issue we'll discuss is the wide serve to the sideline. If you just push a wide serve back, your opponent will be waiting to loop your return. While they might miss, a higher-level player will make fewer errors. You find it difficult because your left foot is moving sideways. You should step into the table with your left foot. Your left foot needs to move forward, not just sideways. If you feel stuck, move your right foot first, then step forward with your left. This will help you cover half-long balls to the sideline. Don't just step sideways, because then you're hitting the ball far outside your body's optimal range, which makes a backhand receive extremely difficult. Second point, for short, wide serves to the corner, if you're not confident, use the rotation of your racket head to brush the ball. Watch, even from a stationary position, I can flick the ball just by rotating my racket head. Once you add the footwork, when the opponent serves wide, you can execute this shot effectively. If you're worried about their backhand counter down the line, aim your loop towards the middle. See how effortlessly I looped that? First, don't try to take this type of ball too early. When an opponent is pulling you wide, you can't hit the ball on the rise. If I can't read the spin clearly, I can wait for the ball to drop slightly to its peak or the beginning of its descent. If the serve is fast and I get there in time, I'll take it at a higher point. If I feel the ball is heavy, I can wait for it to start dropping. As long as I get my body into position and hit the ball within my optimal range, it's easy to loop. Second, the key to the backhand loop is the racket head. Right now, you're always trying to lift with the racket head pointing up, which makes your shot feel weak. You must drop the racket head. Rotate the racket head, and the ball will be much easier to loop. If you get to the ball and feel confident, especially with a lead, then attack it at its highest point. If the score is 9-9 and they serve wide, I can let it drop a bit and execute a high spin loop. No problem at all. When receiving wide serves, your backswing is also crucial. You can't let your elbow drop on your backswing. For long serves, you can drop your elbow. But for these wide balls, you must keep your elbow up and let the racket head drop. This is because your body would otherwise get in the way. The same applies to the forehand. A lefty's serve to the forehand is hard to receive because the elbow is tucked in. Keep the elbow out, drop the racket, and the receive becomes much easier. It's the same on the backhand, drop the racket head and keep the elbow high. Otherwise, you'll be forced to block. A sidespin topspin serve is actually easier to handle, you just need to close your racket angle on contact. The real challenge is a ball with slight sidespin backspin, the half spinny serves. How do we loop those? Misses shot, that's a clear example of the racket head not dropping. Makes shot, that's it. Let's summarize how to handle this shot. First, during your preparation, if a single step with your left foot is difficult, move your right foot first, then step forward with your left. Second, when handling these wide serves, you must keep your elbow high, drop the racket head, and then rotate the racket head. When you come into loop, if your elbow is low but you don't let the racket head drop, you will definitely just lift the ball. So you must drop the racket head while keeping your elbow high. This allows you to rotate your forearm and properly loop the wide ball. If you can't attack it and have to push, where should you aim? If you push to their forehand after they served wide, won't you be vulnerable to an attack to your wide forehand? So how should you push to prevent them from attacking your wide corner? Ever played badminton? A classic tactic is to play to the opposite corner. If you push to their forehand, they'll likely attack your forehand corner, and even if you return it, you won't recover in time. Pushing to the middle is also tricky. So, you shouldn't aim for their forehand. A wide serve is rarely super spinny. Why not continue to attack their wide backhand? From that wide position, they can't loop down your line, can they? At worst, they'll loop to your middle. Recovering to the middle from the corner is much easier to defend, right? So, where should you push the ball? Aim your racket head toward the net post and direct your push towards the sideline. I'm pushing to their deep backhand. I'm not worried even if it's a bit high, because it's very difficult for them to step around and power loop it. This gives you a chance to stay in the rally. So, if you feel good, you must loop. If you're really not confident, push the ball towards the deep backhand corner, near the base of the net. If you aim straight ahead, your push will land in the middle. Aim towards the white center line to ensure your push goes wide to their backhand corner. A return to that spot is very difficult for them to handle. After you push, recover immediately. Don't wait to see if your shot went in. You should be preparing to defend against their next attack. Pushing towards the deep corner makes it very awkward for your opponent to attack. This is because they don't expect you to be able to place the ball there. They might be ready for a return to the middle or their forehand, but they are almost never ready for one to their extreme backhand. Sometimes you wonder why your opponent returns your shots so well. It's because they've practiced against that exact same placement countless times. They couldn't return it well at first either. But because you're repeating the same patterns as everyone else, they've gotten used to it. Your returns lack unpredictability. If you want to fast-track your improvement, you must learn to be unpredictable. For example, after 1 year, you should know how to do a sideswipe push, vary your rhythm, and change placement. After 2 or 3 years, you should have some match tactics. After 5 or 6 years, you should be able to control the rhythm and identify your opponent's weaknesses. If you just follow the same path as everyone else, it will be very hard to beat players with more experience than you. That's why I suggest every player needs to greatly improve their tactical awareness. At a certain level, it's no longer about your technique or form. What other serve receive do you find difficult? Middle long, or half long? Deep to the middle. When they serve a deep sidespin backspin that jams me, I feel like my loop goes straight into the net. The middle is a classic problem area for amateur players. For some serves to that spot, if you want to use your backhand, you have to get your body in position first. And if you decide to use your forehand, you have to use it even for balls that land on your backhand side of the middle. That's a serve designed to jam your body. Let me tell you a secret, when looping from the middle, where is the most comfortable place to aim? I'll show you. What's the easiest target? I'll tell you, if you try to loop it to their backhand, you're going with the spin, which makes it easy to hit the net. Looping towards the forehand is going against the spin, which makes it harder to hit the net. Against a left side spin, you should be looping to the forehand side. If you go with the spin and try to force it to the backhand, especially from the middle, you'll hit the net if your footwork is even slightly slow. So from the middle, you absolutely must loop towards their middle or forehand. This is why in professional matches, when receiving a serve to the middle, players often flick to the opponent's forehand. Flicking to the backhand makes you susceptible to the spin, and you can't generate power against that spin direction. Because you're used to hitting cross-court, you should change your mindset and loop this ball to the forehand. It's much more effective. Second point, when stepping in for a middle ball, don't step in square. If you do, you'll feel jammed. Even if you feel jammed, you must step in with your body turned sideways to properly engage your power. I'm stepping forward and into the ball. If you approach the ball front on, you'll get jammed and have no space for your backswing. When you step in with a body turn, you create the space you need for a full backswing. As the ball comes, I turn my body as I step, and that is my power loading phase. If you step in square, your own body blocks your swing. If you step back, you'll be too far from the ball. So for your backhand, pivot and step your right foot toward the middle. This creates space on your side to complete the stroke. If you step in square, you get jammed. If you clear space with your body, you create your contact point. So, 3 key points. First, take a bigger step. If you decide to loop from the middle with your backhand, your right foot must land in your forehand half of the court, not on the center line, or you'll still be cramped. Second, as I mentioned, loop the ball towards their forehand or middle. Even if they counter loop with their forehand, you'll be in a position to block it. If they manage to loop it down the line, that's just a great shot by them. Looping to their forehand goes against the spin, making it easier to generate power. Third, you must turn your body. When preparing for a middle ball, your right leg must be forward. I have to create space to execute my stroke. I cannot just shuffle sideways into it, I'll get jammed every time. Your biggest problem on middle balls is that you're afraid to take a full backswing. You get to the middle, but your racket is still high. Then you try to drop it at the last second, which is too late. For middle balls, the instant your foot steps into position, your hand should already be dropping for the backswing. You're still watching the ball and then dropping your racket. It's too late. Your footwork is already slow, so you have no time. Let's try again. Focus on your rhythm. Good. That's it. Now try to hit a cross-court shot with the same motion. Try to loop it to the backhand and feel how difficult it is. You can't generate friction, right? You must first take a large step to clear space for your body, with your right foot forward. This creates your backswing and your ideal contact point. Once you've loaded your power, loop it down the line towards their forehand. That's the easiest shot. Avoid looping to the backhand corner. The cross-court angle is shorter, causing you to unconsciously cut your follow-through short, which means you won't grip the ball enough and will hit the net.